birthday month, I would like to share a little something about myself. This is not to show off. As the scripture says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. I do live with this in mind. I named my channel Multitasker because I have been through a lot and faced many challenges in my life, but never did I give up, and I've tried my best to overcome the hurdles in life. This is for me to encourage someone who is facing a distressful situation in the present and not to give up. Instead, have faith in yourself and the one above, then act or do something to move up. You see, my mom passed away when I was only 5 years old, and growing up, I lack of attention. Well, the only attention I was getting was from my grandmother, the only person who was there for me at times. I say at times because some days she has to visit her kids in the city. When my grandmother was not around, it made me miss my mom's presence more. If you ask, how about my father? Well, to cut it short, he was the reason why my mom was gone. I grew up in the province of Quezon, and as shown in the pictures, there were times that I had to walk barefoot as my shoes had either holes or were falling apart from too much use. About 2 years before I would get new ones, my grandma taught me how to knit anahaw leaves or some other local plentiful plant to be used as a roof for our nipa house, or to weave sombreros or hats that she would sell to make money. I grew up poor, and the only way to get water was to pump it from the well or walk to the nearest river to wash my clothes. Every day those times, I wish my mom was there for me, because even though I had the relatives from my mother's side of the family around or even living with them, they never even shared their food with me or never cared even if I didn't have food to eat. So I usually ate molded food when my grandmother was not around. Grandma left this food before she would go to the city, so about a week old food. I remember having almost the same meal, a fresh duck egg, which I just broke over steaming rice and sprinkle it with salt. Panucha, it's a candy resembling fudge that is made of brown sugar or steamed or dried fish. But I don't mind these foods as they are tasty. Dried fish and duck eggs are my favorite and food that I miss since we don't have any of this where I currently live. I even have to drive 8 hours so I can buy dried fish. After high school, I went to Manila to find that one person I never aspired to see, but the only one who can help me with my education, my father. I found out he was working in Saudi Arabia, so I lived with my stepmom and half siblings. I studied in a busy street of Quiapo, as it was one of the cheapest colleges to go to. While studying, I put up a small booth or table alongside the street, going to the university and accept typing jobs from students who were required to submit a lengthy thesis. I remember getting paid 10 cents for 20 pages of the thesis. Those times, I only had simple plans of finishing my school, work, and raise my own family. Working in the Philippines, most employees were getting paid only $5 a day, so it was impossible to work on a degree that you desire. So I gave up on taking computer science and I just finished my secretarial education. Even though it wasn't exactly what I wanted, I was still happy being able to continue my education while working part time and selling ready to wear clothes on the side. The lack of income continues to keep education as an elusive dream for many individuals. The simple dream of having someone to care for and call mine was not for me. A heavy melodrama struggle to court. I will not include it in this video with respect for two people that I don't want to name for now. The melodrama event in my life was why I sought a job outside of the Philippines. I had to get out as it was tough to bear if I stay in the Philippines longer. Another twist of events happened as I have been to a place where it was not the exact things I wanted to do, though it was the place that taught me how to become a better person, dress up and take care of myself. This is also where I met the person who gave me the assurance and self-confidence that I could set a reachable goal. Fast forward was the big twist. Me in the plane, flying to the States. The first day after stepping off the plane was a huge culture shock to me and so different from where I came from. In my first few months in the States, I considered working in any retail or even in a gas station as I thought it's good enough as I will get paid $7 an hour compared to the $5 a day that I was getting in the Philippines. In that, I wouldn't need to go after a higher level education because there are plenty of jobs around. My first job was working as a store assistant at Shopko. My task was to clean and organize the woman and men clothing section and After fitting 6 months, I met a Filipina that worked as a trainer at a call center in town, and thinking that I needed to enhance my enunciation, I started working at National Electronic Warranty, or NEW, a customer service center that handles calls from people who have problems with their appliances or electronics they have purchased. I thought it was a good job, even though I was dealing with irate customers. With my accent, I handled it well until one day I received a call from a lady who was so mad because her washing machine was broken. As I was talking to her, she interrupted and asked me if I was in India. I told her I'm here in the US. She yelled at me and asked why I kept calling her mom when she wasn't my mother. So I learned that day that I should have been pronouncing it as ma'am. After that, she just kept insisting on speaking to someone that knows how to speak English. Now, I was nervous and afraid to communicate with anyone, thinking that people would not understand me. The incidents drove my confidence down, so I started looking for schools around to study speech, to improve my grammar and build my knowledge of how things were spoken here. After taking 2 English classes at Montana State University, my desire to further my education was back, and ultimately I wanted to get a better job. Prior to this, I already took some classes at the University of Maryland in Asia, and I was intimidated as most of my classmates were born and raised in the US. But my eagerness to learn made me push on and finish my first classes. But to get admitted to a US school was by far more complex for an international student like me than I had anticipated. The school required me to have my education and transcript evaluated to determine my foreign education equivalency for US universities. I had to submit a sealed transcript along with a form. The Commission on Higher Education and the Department of Foreign Affairs in the Philippines must sign the form to the authenticity of my documents. The evaluator came back with an assessment that I still needed about 30 credits to receive a bachelor's degree here in the US. Knowing that I still had so far to go with my studies, all I wanted was to learn how to say the words correctly, especially when dealing with locals. However, one of these university advisors told me that I would be able to advance to a master's degree program if I take the GMAT or GRE exam. After passing the GMAT exam, the university in town told me they would accept me for an MBA program. I was shocked and glad about this news, but not believing in myself, I was then hesitant at first about taking higher level courses. All that changed when I dialed the number of Park University and spoke to their best administrative assistant, Miss Jackie Campbell. She understood everything I said to her and responded to me like she knew my exact situation. At that very moment, everything wasn't so bad, and the right choice for me was to take the MBA classes. I considered myself lucky to be able to get into Park University. While taking face-to-face classes for my prerequisite, I struggled with being shy and unresponsive in class discussion because I worried that the professor and my classmate wouldn't understand me. So I did my best to do well on my homework and examinations. As I started taking online classes, the benefits of studying online were obvious. I had plenty of time to type what I wanted to say, but I still hated the idea of taking each class without understanding all the materials. I focused entirely on meeting my professor's expectation, so I only got minimal hours of sleep at a time. Writing down my thoughts and ideas was easy at times, but to correct my grammar would take 3 times as long. I appreciated having the dictionary, thesaurus, and encyclopedia to simplify the bigger words. There were times that I would have to reread each page twice before I could understand it enough to do my analysis on the subject being discussed in our homework. At times, I wanted to give up, feeling that I do not fit in, and that the way I speak has not changed, in that I still have those words that I cannot pronounce correctly. Friends around me started to express their concern, saying things like, just take it easy as long as you pass and get your master's degree. And someone also told me, don't try so hard, you don't need to get an A, adding that once you get done with your master's degree, companies will only look at that and your experience. However, it is not just about being desperate to get an A for me. It, it is to show that I can do it, that I can compete even with the barriers, and that my records will be mine to keep forever. I have many reasons why I spent hours and hours to make my discussion and homework read well. I look at it like this: even though Park University offered affordable and quality education, still where I came from, I could purchase much stuff with the amount of money I spent on each class. I told myself I want to make a difference. Being blessed to study my MBA here in the US is already an accomplishment. But with my passion for helping others someday, I have to make sure I understand fully what the subject is. Studying for my MBA also opened up another door for me, and that is being hired by one of the offices in the US that even in my dreams I will never expect to happen. I have met these great people from the office who have made me feel at ease and have understood my accent. At this point, I believe that becoming more literate is opening up to more options in life, with or without a language barrier. In the end, there is a happy ending putting in the effort to learn all the materials to get A's in my classes. I graduated with an Outstanding Academic Achievement Award, and I know it was because I spent many sleepless nights making sure I submitted my papers, thesis, back in a timely